Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday the 17th, 18th, 16th, 18th, I think, of January, and I have another blood test this morning. I'm sitting outside the lab tests in Mount Wellington in Carbine Road. This is literally the only lab test that's open on a Sunday in Auckland, the whole of Auckland. Crazy. So I'm here an hour before it opens because yesterday I came for a blood test here. The one close to me is not open on a weekend. There's only two open on a Saturday in Auckland, and I got here half an hour before it opened, and there was already someone waiting out here, and by the time the doors opened there were 20 people behind me waiting to get their blood done. So I cannot chance not being first today because I have got a Mike and I are doing the North Shore Run series. I'm just doing a 5k run because that's all I can really manage with my Hashimoto's and just my health at the moment. But the race starts at 8, so I am already going to be late for the race. I had to come here this morning and do the blood test, so I'm literally having the blood test, driving half an hour to go to the run series, and turning up late. Mike's talked to them about the fact that I had to do a blood test and they're fine with it. So I'm just going to be starting late, but I couldn't chance not having to wait in a super long line. So I'm sitting out here for an hour. I have brought some breakfast with me, some yogurt with some stewed apples and strawberries. Got some water. Downloaded a movie from Disney Plus onto my phone. And here we sit on cold concrete. I don't want to wait in my car because I don't really want to be having to look out for if someone else turns up. I'm really weird like that. Does anybody else get like that, where you kind of get this thing in your brain about how things are going to go and work for the morning, so you have a plan and you got to stick to the plan? So here I am sitting outside the front door for an hour. That's my plan, so that I can get my blood test taken first, so I can race off to this run series. I don't know where I'm going to find a park because there are hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000 maybe, people doing this race, and so I'm going to have to run from my car to the tent, tell them the story, and then get into the race and try and make sure I am done before the cutoff. And I'm not fast at all by any stretch of the imagination am I fast. And so I'm hoping that if I can do 9-minute Ks, then I'll be done within 45 minutes, and hopefully that will be before the cutoff. Here's hoping we can do it. So that's my morning. Very exciting. So in other news, yesterday after my blood test, when the clinic called me, she's like, the nurse told me my level's looking really good, probably one more day of blood tests, and so she said, and then we'll be doing a frozen embryo transfer. And I was like hecka confused, and I said to her, I'm sorry, could you just give me just, a moment of your time, because I feel for those nurses. They're calling hundreds of people probably as soon as their blood tests come in, so they're trying to get through those phone calls as fast as possible. And I said to her, from what I understood, I only had fertilized eggs, not frozen embryos. And she said, no, you've got frozen embryos, day 2 frozen embryos. And so she went in and had a look for me. She's like, yes, you've got this, and I can't remember the number that she said, and she was speaking really fast, and I was in a blur because I'm now going, so we have embryos, not just fertilized eggs. So I tried to do some research last night. It didn't help that Violet didn't have the best night last night, so that made it really hard to do some reading. And that didn't help. I was just more confused. Like, Fertility Plus doesn't really have much information on their website, like explaining the whole process or explaining the different grades of eggs, and so everything I'm reading is from overseas. And I mean, I don't know how different the process is between different places, so I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. It was just really confusing. So I'm hoping today, when they call me today, if I can just get them to clarify for me, like, can you explain the difference to me between like a fertilized egg and embryo? What day 2, what's the likelihood of a day 2 succeeding? Those are the kind of questions, now that I've had time to process it, that I'd like to ask. So hopefully those are things that I can ask really quickly and get a quick answer to, because I know that they've got lots and lots of people to call. If she can't give me that information, then I'll just call tomorrow, call the clinic tomorrow, because they'll have a lot more staff on. They've got limited staff on the weekend, and that will hopefully give me a better understanding of what the heck is going on. So yeah, there you go. That's this morning. Wish me luck as I sit outside this lab test for another few 45, 50 minutes, and pray that I get to this race on time. It's not really a race, it's just a run, because I'm definitely not racing anybody. Like, yeah, we'll leave it at that. I need to sneeze. Squeezing me. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Go, babe. Woohoo! Yeah. Oh, sorry. I jumped it. Fail. What a loser. Me. I'm the loser.
Hi everyone, today is Tuesday the 21st of January, not September, of January, and I'm sorry I didn't finish my update from Sunday. I literally was obviously first in line for my blood test, because I got there an hour before no one else was there yet, but I'm so glad I did, because within half an hour the line was getting crazy, and by the time they opened it was just so busy. So I got my blood test done. I was done by like 8:05. I got to Devonport for the run by 8:35. The closest parking I could get was a kilometre away, so I had to run a kilometre to the start line. Myke had luckily explained to them the situation, and they were all happy for me to start the race late, which I did after running an extra K more than I was intending to. And finished the 5Ks and got my medal. So it's really cool. It's a run series that is 3 races on the shore, and then so you get like 3 medals that fit together, and then one that fits all of them into themselves. So I was really stoked that I still got to do the run despite being late and having to do the blood test. It felt good to be running again. I was exhausted though by the afternoon. Myke and I came home. My parents were watching Violet, and I think I slept for 2 hours before we went to go get her. And it's Tuesday, and I am still really sore. My legs are so sore. It has been a long time since I've done really any physical activity because of my Hashimoto's. It just makes it really hard and really draining. So the clinic called me on Sunday to say that I still hadn't ovulated, which was pretty shocking to me that I still haven't ovulated yet at that point. So I had to do another blood test on Monday, which I did. And my arm is, you can't really see now, they've started to heal up, but I'm starting to look like a drug addict with all the holes in my arm. It's been 7 blood tests in 8 days. But I am relieved that I don't have to do them for a little while again. They called me yesterday to say that I have finally ovulated, and so that the transfer will be Wednesday. I asked for some clarification around fertilized eggs and embryos because I explained I was so confused. The nurse I got on the phone was very helpful and very understanding. She explained to me that they're basically the same thing. A day 2 embryo and a fertilized egg are the same thing. I thought they were going to cultivate them all till day 3 and put one back in, but they're actually putting one of the day 2s in on Wednesday, and then letting the rest cultivate till day 5. So it's been really messy just trying to understand the whole process. I feel like I get a different answer from each person that I speak to, and I wish that this side of the process would be a little bit more easy to understand than what it currently is. She told me that the transfer is Wednesday. We go in at 11:10 for the transfer, and like normal, when you go for an embryo transfer, you have to empty your bladder an hour before, and then you need to drink 2 to 3 cups of water. The reason that you need to do that is that a full bladder pushes everything out the way so they can see your uterus better to do the implantation. Of course, by that time you're busting for a wee, so all you can think about is the fact that you need to pee, and that you're worried that you're going to pee all over the poor doctor's hands that is putting the embryo back inside. Which my very first transfer, I was like, I don't know if I've drunk enough water, so I drank way too much water, and by the end you could see my bladder was this huge balloon on the screen, and I couldn't wait for that transfer to be over just so I could pee. And I asked the doctor, I said, has anyone peed on you before? And she said, yep, it's happened before. So that made me feel a little bit better, but lucky I haven't done that yet in any of the transfers we've done. So I started the progesterone yesterday. For those of you who are wondering what it looks like, this is what it looks like. It's these like little, they almost look like little pearls. These pearls that you take, I have to do 2-3 times a day, and it is not oral, if you catch my drift. So the progesterone, I don't know whether it's the progesterone or whether it's just the frame of mind I'm in at the moment. I am feeling quite nervous about tomorrow. I wish I was excited, but I'm not really excited. I'm very nervous about tomorrow. I think all the past experiences of these transfers is catching up with me a little bit. And yes, we've had Violet, but it took us 5 tries to have Violet. It was a year, 4 failed transfers within a year before we got Violet, and it was heart-wrenching, and it was the worst year of my life by far, and I really don't want to have another year like that, so I'm praying that the first one would work, and that would be that, because it's just, it's really hard to remain positive sometimes, and I'm just really nervous about this one. I haven't really felt myself, and I think it's just because it's on my mind all the time. It's making it really hard to concentrate on anything, and I'm really tired all the time, and I think it's a culmination of stress and a whole bunch of other things. So yeah, that's the update. I will post another video tomorrow, probably of the embryo transfer. There's nothing much really to see. I'll get Myke to video the screen, obviously not a live action shot, but of the screen. It's like kind of like an ultrasound video that you can see where they put the tube inside your uterus, and you can't really see the embryo because it's so minute, but you see kind of the flash of liquid that it's surrounded in, the fluid it's in, go into the uterus, and then they go back and check the tube to make sure that it hasn't, because sometimes they push it out and then when they're pulling it out it sucks it back in, so they've got to check the tube to make sure that the embryo hasn't been sucked back into the tube. Yeah, so I'll post a video of that tomorrow for those of you who are interested in it, but your prayers would be greatly appreciated. I am not sure how this is going to go, and I would love to be excited about it. I would love to be excited about it and not nervous. So thank you. I'll leave it there. See you guys in the next one.